Howdy, everyone, and welcome to the newest series on the Secular Lefty channel. The first states to vote in the 2026 U.S. congressional primary elections are Arkansas, North Carolina, and Texas. These states will vote on March 3rd. The majority of our current Congress continues to prove they are spineless and unable to meet this moment. While Trump is acting as if our Constitution is null and void, that the rule of law does not apply to him or those he chooses, my message to Trump and his MAGA cult members is this. This is only temporary. Our Constitution and the rule of law is on hiatus. But that will change. This dark period in American history will end. But it only ends if the majority of Americans who aren't in Trump's cult organize to make it end. Yes, Trump may threaten all he likes to cancel the midterm elections or implement martial law. Whatever does happen, for now prepare as if the elections will happen. We must organize to help elect the best candidates going into the 2026 general election. When Trump does attempt various authoritarian election fraud tactics, or if you are arguing elections will not solve our problems quick enough, please hear me out. I understand the concerns, but what is your recommendation? An armed uprising is a guaranteed way to get us all killed very quickly. If we can make a general strike happen across the entire US, I'd be in support of it. That has its own risks and limitations. Putting a pin in those options for now, that brings us to the purpose of this new series. As deadlines close in each state for candidates to file and get on their primary ballot, I have been reviewing the platforms for all candidates in every seat. Some of our fellow Americans have given up on elections, arguing that voting is hopeless and that it can't change the system. If everyone adopts that attitude and accepts defeat before even trying, then yeah, the robber baron capitalists, the imperialists, the fascists, they will all continue to murder and destroy everything with no pushback, no chance at all to stop them. If voting wasn't important, then those in power wouldn't be taking every action possible to keep you from voting. To keep you in constant poverty so you are too tired to organize for better political outcomes. For now, we still have elections. We can still organize and replace every corrupt, spineless member of Congress with someone better. How much better depends on who's available, and if we can give them enough support to win. Of course, winning the primary doesn't guarantee winning the general election. However, the candidates who are willing to fight for the American people, in clear terms, they will be the ones with the best chances of winning in November. In each episode of this series, we will discuss a brief analysis of each state in the U.S. as it regards to the 2026 primary elections. We will discuss how many seats they have available and how their primary process operates for 2026. Since the United States does not have a federal-level framework for elections, it is up to the states to determine how their elections are run. This information and the details regarding voter registration varying from state to state is a contributing factor that increases difficulty for voting and decreases voter participation. After that, we will discuss the secular Lefty Approved Candidates running in that state. While doing this research, it has confirmed a sad fact. Sometimes there isn't always a great candidate running in every district. But for the seats where there is one, that is where I am dedicating my time to help. I don't have large amounts of money or free time, but for the candidates I do come across who I believe deserve a spotlight, this is the least that I can do for them. The requirements to be a secular Lefty approved candidate are the following. They don't need to check all the boxes, but the more the better. I have it broken down into two groups of objectives. The priorities once elected and taking office in 2027, which include impeaching Trump and all others in government guilty of various high crimes, abolishing ICE and supporting indictments and trials for every Gestapo bastard terrorizing our communities. Once all these criminals are removed from government, we then need congressional leaders ready to fight for the policies to address our healthcare and affordability crises, plaguing our people for decades. The candidates running should have a campaign website with this information available to make it easy for voters to know where they stand on these important issues. Additionally, all secular lefty approved candidates must refuse super PAC money, corporate money, or money from APAC or any other large money lobby. These candidates must be unbought, so we know that they serve all Americans, not their biggest donors. Voting blue no matter who doesn't work if we replace corrupt politicians with other corrupt politicians collecting money from the same donors. With all that stated, let's get started with our second episode to discuss the elections and secular lefty approved candidates in the state of North Carolina. North Carolina is a state with a little over 11 million people. At the current moment, it is a mixed state with more Republicans elected to the House and both seats in the Senate. With 14 members in the House and one Senate seat up for election, there are 15 seats in total to discuss. Sadly, only 6 have Democratic candidates meeting the requirements to be secular lefty approved. Before talking about the candidates, let's first discuss how their primary election works. In North Carolina, the information provided from Ballotpedia here tells us that state law provides for semi-closed primaries. Now, in open primaries, all registered voters in the state may choose to vote in any party's primary. In closed primaries, you may only vote in the primary of the party you are registered with. What happens in semi-closed primaries is that if you are registered with a party, you can only vote with that party. However, those who are unaffiliated may choose any parties whose primary to vote in. While not as undemocratic as closed primaries, reforming our voting system to require all states to have open primaries would be the preferable change to make. The other point of interest is that North Carolina requires the winner of the primary to earn a plurality of votes greater than 30%. For districts in which there are only 2 or 3 candidates, this shouldn't be a problem for one to accomplish. However, in the districts where there are 5 or more candidates, and no candidate reaches 30%, then the top 2 vote-earning candidates move on to a runoff election prior to the general election. If you are an eligible voter in North Carolina, the next bit of information is very important. This is from the National Conference of State Legislatures. If you are not registered to vote, you have 25 days before the election to register. The election is on March 3rd, so be sure to be registered well before the February 7th deadline. So just to review here, North Carolina, their primary is on March 3rd. They have a semi-closed plurality-style primary, and if no candidate in a district or the Senate wins a plurality of 30% or more of the votes, then the top 2 vote-getters move on to a runoff election, which is scheduled for May 12th. The first thing to note of the current North Carolina representatives is that both Republicans and Democrats take money from many large donors with at least one in common, and that is APAC. These Congress members, they don't care about the lives or economic stability of regular people. They are in Congress giving money to weapon contractors to support Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people. This is one result of allowing money in politics. There's another point to note here about 3 of these incumbents as well. Valerie Foushee in District 4 is approaching 70. Alma Adams in District 12, 79. And Virginia Foxx is 82 years old. All 3 of them are still running for re-election. For anyone in Congress or running for Congress, and you are approaching 70 or are over 70, and for fuck's sakes, if you're 82, fucking retire already. 3 members of Congress dropped dead last year. All Democrats, of course. That really helped the resistance. This year, there has already been 1 to drop dead. At least it was a Republican this time. Doug LaMalfa of California's 1st District, back on January 6th. To be clear, this is not about being ageist or hating old people. Any one of us could die tomorrow for any number of reasons. Death by ice appears to be a rising cause of death in this country. In the process of recording this video, they literally executed another person. But a pin in that for now. The point here about age is the older you get, the probability of dying goes up, and for many, their mental abilities go down. I am not against term limits, but I believe age limits would be a better policy. When you hit 70, you can finish out that term. But after, retire and spend your remaining years with your family. Or don't. I don't really care what you do after, but it's time for you crypt keepers to get the fuck out of Congress. Putting my age rant aside, let's look at the primary challengers. For Districts 1 and 2, there are none. The incumbents are running unopposed. For several other House seats, after reviewing dozens of candidate web pages and policy pages, many of them did not meet the requirements to be approved. For these seats without secular Lefty Approved Candidates, if you are a voter in one of those districts, here are the options as I see them. Some seats have Democrats that, while they may not support the policies we need right now, they are better than the Republican. Right. So, of course, that is a weak argument and the same lesser of two evil bullshit that has led us to fascism. So, for those that have been arguing to not support the Democrats and support third party, well, here's the sad reality with that argument. Not every seat has an independent or third party choice. And when there is one, it doesn't necessarily mean they are better by default. I mean, there are many libertarians out there, for example. But if there is a better third party option or independent option that I am aware of, I will make a mention of it. For example, in North Carolina's 13th district, all three Democratic candidates are what I refer to as NICs, non-inspiring candidates. Either they don't have a website, so I don't know what they stand for, or worse, they have a website and say nothing of policy substance, or only give vague cliches and platitudes, but no details, no policies. Since this video is on the Democratic primary, I don't have them listed, but if you go on Ballotpedia, you can see all the candidates running for that district. In the 13th, there is a Green Party candidate named Anthony Aguilar. Since the series is focused on the Democratic primary, I don't have him listed in the previous chart or with the other secular lefty candidates at this moment. Here is a policy chart from his website that provides a quick reference to what he supports and what makes him better than any of the three Democrats running. Once the primaries are over and I do follow-up videos, not all secular lefty approved candidates will necessarily be Democrats. My support is based on policies to improve lives, not blind loyalty. When I am reviewing campaign web pages, I want to see strong language in support of impeaching Trump, abolishing ICE, Medicare for all, raising the minimum wage, and ending support to nations committing genocide. If the candidate doesn't have at least one, preferably two of these policies listed on their campaign page, then in my honest opinion, they are not a serious candidate. Either they are completely ill-prepared for this moment, or they are paid to run for that seat by their donors in the oligarchy. If you run for office but are not willing to clearly state why you're running for that office and what you're fighting for, then I will not waste my time or yours talking about them. To be perfectly clear, these videos are not about supporting the Democratic Party, but rather reforming it with better candidates where available. Once the primaries are over, if there are better independent or third-party candidates that have better policy platforms than a centrist, liberal, or corporatist Democrat, then vote for the better candidate. Many Americans only vote in the general election, which is only about half, with the other half not voting at all. If you are someone that complains about lack of good candidates but doesn't vote in the primary elections, the failure to participate in the process is part of the problem. Yes, not being active in politics is a choice, but it is also a choice with consequences for the rest of us. I understand the Democratic Party has abandoned us, regular working people for wealthy donors, resulting in a lower favorability rating than the party led by a child raping fascist. I am not asking you to support the party. Do not donate to the DNC. The DNC can respectably fuck off. While our elections are run at the state level, both political parties have made it difficult and expensive to run outside that system. Think of the party as a vehicle to get the candidates elected. Currently, the Democratic Party has stood for nothing. It is up to us to nominate better candidates who will redefine the Democratic Party by what they are fighting for. North Carolina has had higher turnout for the general election. At least back in 2016, it was around 66%. But to make sure we have better candidates going into the general election, we need more voters participating in the primary. But the responsibility to make that happen is not just on the voters. There also has to be decent candidates worth supporting. I have found 6 candidates in North Carolina that have met the requirements to be secular lefty approved candidates. Here are those 6. Running in the 4th Congressional District is Nida Allam, the 5th District, Kyah Creekmore, in the 6th, Keith Davenport, 7th District, Kimberly Hardy, 9th District, Richard Ojeda, and for U.S. Senate, Justin Dews. They might not support every policy you or I want, but I would argue they are the best candidates for each of the seats that they are running for. But voters of North Carolina, that'll be up for you to decide. Don't just vote for them because I suggest you should, although I won't stop you. If this video is the most political research you do in your primary election decision making, then that is still more work put in than most other voters. Many liberals and centrists have traditionally just waited for the general election to be told by the Democratic Party who to vote for. Look around. Did that strategy lead us to success? Is our nation and our neighbors better off because of it? Or are you also capable of reading the fucking room and acknowledging the corruption of the Democratic Party and its capture by capitalists has led us to the rise of fascism in America? I am choosing to be optimistic here, that maybe we can vote our way out of this. And if not, be prepared for the worst. When doing your own research on congressional candidates, there are some other political groups I hope you will consider. You may have noticed the 6 groups pictured with these candidates. While not every candidate is supported by all the groups listed, I have them here to inform you as potential voters. When researching candidates, see if any of them have been endorsed by these groups. Nida Allam, for example, running again in the 4th District, is endorsed by half of these groups, including Track APAC, Justice Democrats, and Leaders We Deserve. Track APAC supports candidates who don't take APAC money. Similarly, Our Revolution, a group founded after Bernie Sanders' 2016 presidential campaign, is a group supporting candidates that refuse all super PAC money and agree to get money out of politics. Justice Democrats is another group that supports candidates who sign on to their progressive policies, which they list on their webpage. Citizens Impeachment is a group, as the name would suggest, support candidates who are fighting for impeachment of Trump and every criminal in his cabinet. No Dem Left Behind and Leaders We Deserve, 2 more groups that have helped me find secular lefty approved candidates. Links for all these progressive organizations will be included below. Times are difficult for many of us. We're working longer hours for minimal wages with dollars that purchase less each day. If we continue to do nothing, things won't improve. If you don't have money, the easiest thing to do to participate to help candidates you support is by spreading their message. Find them on social media and repost their statements or write your own and discuss them with friends and family. Just giving these candidates some visibility will help them far more than you know, and we cannot rely on the corporate media to inform us of which candidates are going to be the ones who raise their taxes. I would never ask you to give money to the Democratic Party or DNC, shithole organizations that have wasted $20 million to learn how to talk to men when all they had to do was raise the minimum wage, support Medicare for all, and end support for genocide. It should have been that simple, but no. Corruption has destroyed the morality and mental clarity of the same people who then berate you for not voting for them. So instead, if you are in a place to donate and want to help make a better future happen, either find candidates and donate to them directly, preferably a secular lefty approved candidate, or donate to one of the 6 groups that we discussed. Or, if you liked today's video, please consider throwing me $1 or 2 over on my Patreon to help support the channel. Be greatly appreciated. Final thing to note is, yes, not every seat is a guaranteed Democratic or progressive victory. But if no one tries, then the seat is an automatic loss. It may be difficult. I by no means want to give the impression that this is easy, but it is not impossible. We discussed how voter participation is low. Trump continues to lose support for his disastrous actions in his second term. We could have the combination for victory here. Enough Republicans discouraged from voting because of Trump, and better Democrats who give voters something to vote for. The 6 secular lefty-approved candidates here could be the Democrats to flip those red seats and replace those corrupt Democrats. We will see. As stated, North Carolina will be voting on March 3rd, along with Arkansas and Texas. Arkansas has already been reviewed and ready for you to watch if interested. My video on Texas will be released a little later this week, along with more videos throughout this year for each state's primary election. If you found anything I said in today's video useful, please give the video a share. Give it a like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified of my newest videos. Until the next one, consider checking out my other work on this channel. Thank you for listening, and take care.